This is the Redmi 14C. It feels like we've been here before. We have here the Tecno Spark 30C. Could this be deja vu? Anyways, I'll reserve my thoughts on this design for later. In terms of price, the Redmi 14C goes for about $85 to $90, which is about 135,000 Naira to about 140,000 Naira currently. The Redmi 14C is powered by Android 14 on Hyper OS with a MediaTek Helio G81 Ultra chipset with an 8GB RAM and 256GB storage for the variant I have here, which is the variant I would advise you get if you're looking to enjoy a smooth experience. Like I said in my Tecno Spark 30C review, these specs are mostly great for average users with no intention of gaming. The Redmi 14C is great for your day-to-day tasks like taking and making calls, chatting or messaging, surfing the web and research, or secretarial tasks and going through social media. Light gaming is acceptable with games like Candy Crush and Subway Surfers. Medium graphic games like football and car racing games can be managed. But I do not advise high graphics games like PUBG, Genshin Impact and Call of Duty Mobile. For those, you would have to invest in something better. As for the design of the Redmi 14C, tell me Transsion owns Redmi without telling me Transsion owns Redmi. It is almost as if the design team of Tecno and Infinix share notes. Except, the Infinix design team couldn't even copy the correct answers because the camera ring here looks terrible and out of place. In my opinion, the variant I have here has what looks like a leather back which looks and feels great, and I love it. But then, the entire design is thrown out of whack with the camera ring as it looks really cheap, like it is made out of really cheap material. So, how do you combine an expensive, high quality looking leather finish with a cheap, terrible looking camera ring? While we're at it, Redmi, why even use a camera ring? The Redmi 14C has the exact same camera as the Redmi 13C. And look how gorgeous that camera is. Now, imagine the camera layout of the Redmi 13C on this Redmi 14C with its beautiful leather finish. I really don't know what the obsession with copy and paste is with these companies. Anyways, if you haven't picked up on it yet, I hate the design. And I can only imagine how terrible it looks in its other colors or variants, which do not come with a leather finish. The Redmi 14C continues with its annoying concept of placing the 3.5mm earphone jack on the top of the device. It's never made any sense to me, and still doesn't. To further show how less they care about the location of the earphone jack, the Redmi 14C doesn't have an included earpiece in its packaging. So it costs about the same, if not more than the Tecno Spark 30C, but then copies the design and specs of the Tecno Spark 30C, while leaving out important or vital components and also losing out its own identity to the Tecno Spark 30C in terms of the IR blaster. Redmi, which has been known over the years for including an IR blaster in its devices, decided to skip on the option with the 14C, while Tecno has now adopted the technology in its new line of devices. How interesting. So answer me this. With the Redmi 14C having just one main 50 megapixels camera, explain to me why they needed a camera ring to take up all this space when the depth sensor and AI lens are pretty much useless. Again, the camera layout on the Redmi 13C would have made all the difference here on the 14C, but the deed is done. It has terrible sounding speakers, at least when compared to the Tecno Spark 30C, which is why I said they couldn't even copy correctly.
About 114,000 Naira or just $70, you can get this beauty. Pop 9, a Tecno budget smartphone with class. It comes in either black or white, as should everything in life.
Its power button serves as its fingerprint sensor, and for its price, I think it does just fine. The Redmi 14C has a 6.88 inches 720p IPS LCD display with 120Hz refresh rate and about 500 nits of peak brightness. Like the Spark 30C, it looks okay with decent levels of saturation and contrast. If you spend about $80 to $90 on the device, you really shouldn't expect more than this. Also to note is that the Redmi 14C has a notch cutout on its display and has pretty large bezels. For its price, this shouldn't be an issue, but then, the Tecno Spark 30C, which costs about the same as the Redmi 14C, comes with a punch hole cutout. Do with that information as you please. I just think it is worth noting. Its 6.88 inches makes for an enjoyable and immersive media consumption. However, It takes a toll on the handling of this device due to its size. It is just fine for watching movies and burning time on social media, even though the sound out of it is kind of a letdown. Also a letdown is the fact that the Redmi 14C does not have any official IP rating. So if you're getting one, I'd be careful around water and dust. The Redmi 14C has a dual SIM setup with allocation for storage expansion using a micro SD card. The one aspect of the Redmi 14C that is awesome has to be its battery capacity. It comes with a 5160 mAh batteries with 18 watts wired charging. For those of us in my region, we can't even complain. The bigger the batteries, the better for us. So for this, I'd say awesome. And yeah, it does make up for the size of the Redmi 14C. In terms of camera with the Redmi 14C, it has a 50 megapixels main camera accompanied by a 2 megapixels depth sensor and an AI lens with an LED flashlight right next to them in the large camera ring. It has a 13 megapixel selfie camera, which is better than the Tecno Spark 30C on paper, but lacks a front-facing LED flashlight. And both front and rear cameras shoots videos at 1080p 30 frames per second. I can't really be critical when it comes to low-budget devices, especially when it comes down to the camera's quality, but I can tell you if it is usable or not. And yeah, in good lighting conditions, it takes okay pictures and videos. Selfie pictures and videos ain't terrible too.
Training every day and night, working so hard so I can get to the top, yeah. So many niggas try to put me down, but you no go walk, yeah. I've been working brain, I've been fasting, fucking and grinding. Never know there's a storm that has to be broken, a yoke that gotta be broken. I must have shine bright, shine bright, shine bright, shine bright.
Take a look at my review on the Tecno Spark 30C if you need a comparison to the Redmi 14C. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my side-by-side comparison coming soon. To conclude this video, I think leaving out what I consider to be a design error, the Redmi 14C is a good option for anyone looking for a device in its price point, especially if you are a huge consumer of media, as its large screen size gets to shine in this area. Its HyperOS gives for a really clean and easy interface, and its 120Hz refresh rate has it running smoothly and without lags, especially in the 8GB RAM variant I have here. The Redmi 14C will surely have a lot to offer an average user, especially taking into consideration its large batteries. Comment on your favorite or least favorite aspects of the Redmi 14C. I'd love to know your takes on it. Watch any of these videos to further help your decision process. Thank you for your time. Till we see you again. Bye bye.
See, my time is